Being a content creator is so hard. Where's my book? Hi. I am on page 80 of The Vegetarian by, am I saying it right? Is it Hong Kong? Because, see, that don't sound right for very obvious reasons. And I don't need the girlies lighting me up in the comments. So, I feel like I can't... Where is it? Where's that damn book? I feel like I haven't been able to give this and this is Hunchback, a proper review because of All Fours. I will blame all of my life's problems on All Fours for the rest of my fucking life. But in all seriousness, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link my previous video somewhere about All Fours by, I believe that menace's name is Miranda July. I feel some type of way both because of the content of the novel and the fact that it was, I believe, longlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction or something. I don't know. It was nominated for some sort of literary prize / prizes. And I felt some type of way because not only was it poorly written, but it was using a lot of, like, very low-hanging fruit sexual themes and just graphic descriptions of sex to try to evoke feeling, and it was just lame. And so once I read Hunchback, I think I was hypersensitive to those same sexual themes that were featured in here, and for me it kind of like soured the rest of my reading experience. And then we come to here, haul wrap-up thing that I recently posted. Why do the girlies always have to be going through it in these literary books? Why are the women always suffering at the hands of men? Like, is that all we have to offer? This main character so far, once again, I'm only on page 80. I mean, it is a short book, but I'm only on page 80. The main character has already been raped by her husband, assaulted physically by her dad, and then had multiple people try to force meat into her mouth. They tried to force feed her. She was hospitalized after having a pruipide attempt, and then she was put into a psychiatric hospital, and then her husband asked for a divorce, and now she's living by herself. Did I say that we're 80 pages in? Like, why do... This won the Nobel Prize in Literature and the Man Booker International Prize. Is this what it takes? Is this what y'all want? I mean, I'm sure some really speculative, messaging is going to happen at the end of this. There's going to be some fantastical element or something. There's going to be some deep messaging about women's autonomy. I get it, but is this the only way to get that point across? And I'm not saying that these stories aren't important that feature those things. It's just, give me something else. My life has not been defined by the bullshit that the patriarchy has put me through. Can we please? I'm gonna finish it because I bought it and I'm already halfway through, and it's not putting me off so much that I would hate reading the rest of this, but I just need something else. Y'all gotta be more creative with the books that y'all nominate for these goddamn literary awards, because this ain't it, girly. This ain't it. Let's see what's gonna happen. Oh, and then another thing. So the first half of the book is from the perspective of our main character's husband, and just being in his head was disgusting enough. But now we're in the head of her brother-in-law. So basically, the first half of the book was us hearing about how disgusted her husband was by her, how he didn't want to do things with her unless he was forcing himself onto her, and how disgusting she was, and how her sister was so much hotter than she is. But now we're in the head of our main character's brother-in-law, so the person married to our main character's sister, and he is just sexually objectifying her. Like, Okay. I need alcohol for this. I just realized one of the blurbs on the back says a novel of sexuality and madness that deserves its great success. I just want you to know that I just read a scene from the main character's brother-in-law's perspective. So he's having sex with his wife, who is the main character's sister. And he says, or, it says, he shut his eyes and tried to block out his wife's face. He's imagining the main character instead of his wife as to him. This is like the second or third time this has happened on my channel when I'm recording myself reading. I read something wild and I tell y'all about it, and then the very next sentence is something even more ridiculous, or I guess like more appalling. When it was all over, she was crying. He couldn't tell what those tears meant: pain, pleasure, passion, disgust, or some inscrutable loneliness that she would have had been no more able to explain than he would have been to understand. He didn't know. "I'm scared," she muttered. "Turn away from him." "No, it wasn't that. You're scaring me." Why do women always have to be suffering in these books? I do not understand. At that point, he was already slipping into a death-like sleep, so he couldn't be sure if those words had really passed his wife's lips. Mind you, the words that she just told her husband are, "You're scaring me. I am scared." She might have lain there sobbing for hours in the darkness. He didn't know. Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize. Man Booker International Prize. This is it. One of the main characters, main character traits, or I guess one of her main personality traits, is that she doesn't wear a bra. And I wish I was fucking kidding, but that's descriptions of this character have been limited to: she's quiet, she's defiant, she doesn't eat meat, and she doesn't wear a bra. I'm almost halfway through this book, and that's all I can tell you about our main character. So, the brother-in-law has been fantasizing about our main character, and he learned from his wife, who is the main character's sister, that she still has a birthmark that most people grow out of by the time they're kids. And so it's very rare to see people in adulthood with this Mongolian mark. And so he just obsesses over that. And so he has essentially bamboozled our main character into having him paint her. And so she goes to the studio that he rented and strips down naked. And so he sees her for the first time. And he realized, to his surprise, that there was nothing at all sexual about it. You don't say. You don't say that a birthmark isn't I don't. Once again, our character is just reduced to her body. This is an entire fucking paragraph about her naked body. Okay. He looked down at the table and awkwardly swallowed a mouthful of rice. I'm starting off with that quote because I just need you to understand that they're eating rice. They're at a restaurant and they're eating rice. Okay. Why is it you don't eat meat? I've always wondered, but somehow I couldn't ask. She lowered her chopsticks and looked across at him. You don't have to tell me if it's difficult for you, he said, fighting all the time to suppress the sexual images that were running through his head. She's eating rice. She's just trying to eat her rice. She can't even eat her rice in peace. I'm gonna need you to be so fucking for real right now. Why am I reading multiple paragraphs of this man trying to think and come up and scheme as to who he could pay to have sex with his sister-in-law? I'm gonna say it again because I have to read this. And you clicked on this video and that's your fault. I'm reading about a man who is trying to plot and scheme his way into paying someone to have sex with his sister-in-law because he can't do it himself. You know what's sad? I feel like I've kind of gotten to the point with this book where the only thing that's keeping me going is I keep reminding myself that this isn't nearly as bad as All Fours. So the bar is low. It's feeling like a 2. It's feeling like a 2. What began to ooze out of her, huh? I did this to myself. Nobody told me to read this, and I bought this book with my own monies. My own monies. I did this to myself, and I'm choosing to continue to read it, so I can't be too upset. But right now, he found his wife's patience and desire to do the right thing stifling, which made him still more inclined to see it as a flaw in her character. Here's the thing, right? I've read erotica, I've read smut, I've read just like downright gross graphic things, right? I don't know what it is that gives me secondhand embarrassment and cringe so much when I'm reading sexual content in literary fiction. What is that? Can someone pinpoint that for me? Why do I want to chew my toenails off right now? Why? What is that feeling? Perhaps, I was just thinking, he looked at her and Jane returned. Could you maybe do it, for real? Could you do it? For real? I don't know. I feel like if an ex called me up after however many years and asked me to paint him naked, I just don't know if picking up the paintbrush would be my response. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time wrapping this up because the little homies have sports day today, but I just finished The Vegetarian and I'm giving it 2 stars. This was very underwhelming. I'm going to say this. My girl Sayaka Murata would have killed this. She would have killed this. So what I wanted from this story is I wanted it to go there. I wanted it to lean into the speculative themes that it kept kind of teasing, but it never really went there. Also, I think that the synopsis of this story kind of spoils it. So it says how our main character is seeking a more plant-like existence, commits a shocking act of subversion, which is it shocking that she doesn't want to eat meat? Whatever. She refuses to eat meat, thus begins a disturbing and thrilling psychological drama about taboo, desire, rebellion, and fantasy. No. I think the story that is being summarized on the back is not what's in here. I really wanted it to lean into that, oh my god, this bitch is turning into a plant kind of thing. I wanted her to spend longer speaking about that part of it. I listened to the last part of it on audio, so that's why my bookmark is still in the book, but yeah, it ended with, her just still being institutionalized and her sister kind of maybe realizing that she has some similarities to her sister in that she maybe has had similar experiences to her sister, but perhaps her being married to the man that she was married to and having a child kept her grounded, whereas her sister didn't have children and was married to a very sterile and cold person. I don't know. I think this could have went even further than it did. I really feel like my girl Sayaka would have went there. She would have went there. She would have made it weird. She would have made it even more gross. And I think it would have had more of an impact. I don't know. And then also, how, I don't know. I just feel like I am super underwhelmed and unimpressed that the only vehicle these authors feel like they can tell these stories through is through that of women being abused, assaulted, shamed, neglected. Like that, is that the only way you could have told this story? I mean, like, why did our main character have to be raped on page by her husband? Why did our main character have to be physically assaulted by her dad on page? Why did I make it like I don't really understand why that was needed in this story. And please understand, I am not trying to say that I don't think any of those themes or any of those events should be censored from literature. That's not what I'm saying. And those stories are very, very important. I'm just kind of asking the question why so many of the books that are nominated or that are awarded these literary prizes, they seem to exclusively deal with those issues. And I know I am very early in my literary fiction genre or journey. Literary fiction genre journey? Am I on a genre journey? I don't know, but I just don't think it's a coincidence, or maybe it is. Maybe it is. I just don't think it's a coincidence that this is the third book I have picked up because of like literary prize stuff where those are the main themes. I don't really like that. I don't get it. So I'm trying to look for more books that have been shortlisted or longlisted or have won, some sort of literary prize that don't fall into that category. I'm thinking of picking up Small Boat because I've only heard wonderful things about it, and it seems to not really lean in that direction. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, gotta go. TTYL. Bye.